Hello folks, welcome to Outdoors with Bud. I'm your host, Bud Fields. I've done a recent article on a knife, and I've had some requests to maybe talk a little bit more about them. Now, the name of the company that manufactures this knife is the Outdoor Edge Company. Now they're based out of Colorado, Denver, Colorado, but you can buy these knives in just about every sporting goods store. I've not been in very many that didn't have them. Walmart's got them. Dunham Sporting Goods has got them. And one of the hardest things about owning a knife is keeping it razor sharp. I've spent hours and hours and hours using different files, different types of stone, and I don't get what I really expect to get out of sharpening a knife. Now what this company does, they've come up with a knife that uses actual replaceable blades, and trust me, these are razor sharp. Usually when I'm changing the blades on them, I like to wear a heavy glove or something to protect myself, because we was doing a shooting here recently, and I actually cut my finger and I didn't realize it. These things are so sharp that it cut, and I was bleeding, didn't even know it. And yes, things like this do happen. Now this company, the reason I bought this knife is, as you can see, is very miniature. It doesn't take up much room. You can clip this. It's got a little belt loop on the back of this carrier. It's got a nice snap. Now they make this knife not only in a folding knife, they make it in a solid stiff blade. They make a actual processing. If you're into processing your own game animals, they make a whole entire processing kit. But this is a godsend, and the first thing you're noticing is the bright orange. There's a reason for that. I have to confess that over the years I have had camouflage knives which look good because that tells everybody that you're a hunter. But if you're in the woods, if you're successful harvesting a deer, you field dress that deer, you lay that knife down, a knife has got a way of disappearing, especially if it's camouflaged. If it's bright like this, you're going to be able to find it. Now it's very simple. It's got a little, I'll turn it around this way, maybe it'd make it easier for you to see. Right here at the top there's a little thing you push down which will allow that knife to unfold. Okay, you see that? Now you hear that lock in place. That's not going to go anywhere. Now there's a groove slot in here. Now I want to tell you one thing. After you field dress your animal or you skin that animal, you need to keep that groove in there clear, because if you don't have it that way, your knife's not going to you're not going to be able to get the blade shut. Now also, you're going to notice a couple buttons here. The one button is just to attach the frame of the blade. The next button is the one that releases this blade. Now, so we don't have to make this into an EMT segment. I'm not actually going to take this blade out, but all you need to do is just push that button and you can pull that blade out. Now when you buy this knife, it's going to come with 5 or 6 extra blades. Now they're in a little plastic sleeve. That way you're not going to cut your fingers and everything, but you will have to remove it. There's a little hole back there, but all you do is push that button, remove the old dull blade, stick the fresh blade in that slot and push it, and you will hear it click and you're locked into place. Now this blade is very durable. On the average, I have field dressed and skinned 4 and 5 deer at one time on one blade. Now you can sharpen that blade even when it gets dull, but it's so much easier to have these extra ones with you. That way if you're out in the woods, nothing is more antagonizing than trying to field dress your animal or skin your animal with a dull knife. It just does not work. But Outdoor Edge, I'd like to tell you, it'd be nice if you go to their website and see all the selection they've got. They've got swing blade knife. They got 4 or 5 different type of blades that you can get, but You're not going to go wrong if you get something like this, and it's going to eliminate any of your hard problems that you're going to encounter when you're trying to sharpen your knife. Once again, it's called the Outdoor Edge knife, and they're out of Denver, Colorado. You can reach them at 1-888-249-6942, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5. That's Mountain Time. If you want to go to the website, it's outdooredge.com. Outdooredge.com, and you can get these at basically any sporting goods store. I don't think you can go wrong. I've recommended this knife to several people, and I've not had anybody call me back and say that they had any problems with it at all. But I highly recommend it. Welcome to Outdoors with Bud. I'm your host, Bud Fields. Today I'm going to talk to you about some different types of artificial lures that mostly the bass fishermen will use, but a lot of other fish will hit these same lures. To begin with, I'm going to discuss with you what I consider to be the most versatile fishing lure you can have in your tackle box, and that's a spinnerbait. A spinnerbait looks very much like a safety pin. It's got a hook, it's got a weighted head, and it's got a wire frame up here. Then it will have some kind of a blade configuration. Now there's many different types of blade configurations. One thing you're going to notice about the wire frame is the hook is always pointed up. That makes it pretty weedless. You can fish it through the lily pads and through the weeds without it getting hung up. Now I was talking to you about blades. I'm going to explain to you a few of the types of blades and the advantages of them. This is referred to as a willow leaf blade. It looks just like a willow leaf on a tree. Now what makes this very effective is the way this is shaped. You can bring this through the thickest weeds and you're going to be able to work it through there and catch a lot of fish on it. Now there's different colors. You can get it in a silver, you can get it in a copper, and some blades can be pre-painted any color you want. You may get it with a white, and if you want to put red stripes on it, you can do that. But what makes a spinnerbait effective is when it's coming through the water, the blade will be rotating just like a little propeller under the water, and it will set off a vibration. And it also the blade will reflect any kind of sunlight, and in clear water that will give you two things that makes the fish want to hit it: vibration, which creates a sound, and the flash of the blade, which makes it easier for the fish to see. Now I told you this was the most versatile lure that you can have. The reason for that is you can cast this lure out to the water, let it sink all the way to the bottom, put your rod tip down, and turn your reel real slow to retrieve it. Any fish that is relating to the bottom will be able to get a chance to strike this lure. Okay, you can take that same lure, cast it back out there again, and this particular spinnerbait will drop approximately 1 foot per second. Let's say you're fishing 20 foot of water. You can cast this lure out there, count down 1001, 1002, 1003, let it get to about 10 foot, then just retrieve it a little bit quicker. That way any fish that is suspended from the water surface to the bottom can also have a chance to hit this lure. Now that same lure you can throw out there again. The instant it hits the water, you can put your rod tip up and reel it a little bit quicker and bring it in right underneath the water surface, and that blade will be spinning and make a little wake, and that will entice a lot of strikes. Northern pike, bass, muskie, a lot of fish will hit this because of that. Now you can get them in different colors also. For instance, and this is a little trick that I've also done. I'll add a little plastic trailer behind it. This just makes the profile of this lure a little bigger. That's just like if you're out in your yard and your neighbor hits a golf ball and you look to see if you can see that golf ball is going so fast and it's so small you can't see it. But if somebody was to kick a beach ball up in their air, you could see that because it had a bigger profile. Well, that's also advantageous for bass fishing. But a lot of it depends on the water clarity. Now, in my opinion, there should be more emphasis placed on presentation than a lure color. A lot of lures are very pretty colors, but I think that is designed to catch the fisherman. Lure presentation should be more short range and more accurate. Now, you'll notice on this has got, I always said that this looks like the Star Trek plane mode of transportation, because it's got the two V's. This has got two blades on it. They have got some that will have as many as 5 and 6 blades, and what that does, that emulates a pod or a school of minnows. And the bass, especially if they see those minnows up there, they're going to go up there and get something to eat. Now, I was mentioning water clarity. If you're fishing in clear water, natural colors are their best to use. They got one they call a ghost. It's kind of like a clear gray and a white combination, or a light brown. Anything like that, translucent colors that the bass can see in clear water from quite a distance. Now, if you're fishing stained water, you want to use a little brighter colors, such as this chartreuse, something that's going to shine up a little bit more in the water. And if you're ever fishing a night tournament, which I love to do, my biggest bass I caught in the state of Indiana was caught on a black spinnerbait. Now, it sounds funny. Why would you use a dark black spinnerbait at night when it's dark? Well, the fish is down there, and if you're working this bait, it's looking up, and if there's a moon shining, it's going to show that pattern of the shape of that spinnerbait, and that's going to draw too. Now, you can get your spinnerbaits very small, just like if you're a pan fisherman. If you like to catch bluegills or crappie, you can get a spinnerbait this small. This is about 1/8 or 1/16. And there again, it's got this little plastic grub on the back of it. That kicks and adds a little more action. And this has got a very small spinnerbait blade on it. The spinnerbaits are fantastic, and here's part of the composition of it. Is a skirt, and all that does, that adds life to it. Now, spinnerbaits, you can use them just about anywhere, and you can use them basically all year long. Now, this is a Colorado blade. As you can see, it's kind of a teardrop blade. The bigger this blade is, if you want to compare it with this blade here will make more thump, more vibration as it's coming through the water. The smaller blade will create a lot of vibration itself, but the bigger the blade, the more vibration you're going to get, and in my mind, that makes it a little more attractive. Now, here again, this is one that's got a little plastic trailer on the back of it. This is simply to add more weight to it, and actually, it makes it a little bit more buoyant. But it will change. It will make the fish see it a lot better coming through the water. Now, you can get spinnerbaits just about any place, any sporting goods that has fishing tackle. I would recommend getting you some that's like black if you're going to do any early morning or late evening fishing trips. Get you even white. White is a great color. You can use white all day long. I've used it in clear water, stained water, and extremely muddy water. Now, if you're going to be fishing murky water, your darker colors like the black, for instance, and then there's a blue works effectively, and my all-time favorite is a June bug. But anytime you're fishing, if you want to switch up blades, a lot of times you can catch fish on a spinnerbait. They're very, very effective once the water temperature gets up to all the mid-50s to 60 degrees. The reason for that is, particularly on the bass, water temperature has a lot to do with bass activity because their metabolism is governed by the heat of the water. The warmer the water, the more active the fish are. The colder the water, they're just like us. We've had all this cold weather recently. We don't feel like going out in the yard and doing a lot of stuff. But once it starts getting warm, that's when you want to get out and do everything. Same way with the fish. Now, spinnerbaits, that's probably caught as many bass and won as many tournaments as anything on the market. But it's something that I don't think you can go wrong fishing. Just get an assortment of them, take them out, and catch some fish.